Well, hey everybody, super glad to be with you here on our More page. And thank you so much for hanging out with us here every week, whether that's in a group with other people or individually as a devotional time for you in the midst of your daily schedule. We're really, really glad you take the time to watch this video, obviously, and then spend some time exploring the questions that are attached to that. Well, here we are, week number 4, the final week and the final part of our Breaking the Curse of Words. It's been a tremendous month, and there's been a lot of great conversations. Heard some great stories from some of your group times as you've spent time here and more. And so just thanks for all of that. And I pray that the things we have done in our Sunday services and in your time here have made a lasting impact on you. Well, let me say this because I think this is maybe a good summation of the overall idea that we've been talking about in this series, and that is this. Words are powerful. We need words because we use words to communicate. And when it comes to communication, that's tough too. A lot of the time that I spend talking with young couples or couples in general getting ready for marriage, I spend talking about communication. And one of the things we talk about in our premarital sessions is how to communicate effectively. The truth of the matter is we communicate, it's just not always very effective. And based on where we've been over the last 4 weeks, we know that sometimes when ineffective communication is applied, there can be a curse or a weight put on us or our spirit or our hearts. That's why these last couple of weeks, as we've talked about needing a new heart, why that's so important, because for effective communication, or what I would say is positive communication, we need a new heart. In other words, we need a relationship with Jesus Christ who gives us a new heart, who recreates us, who allows us to effectively change our communication. Because a good heart, as we noticed last week or 2 weeks ago now, a good heart stores up good things, and from those good things, we speak. So I was thinking about that for our last session. And I wanted to spend some time in a chapter in a book that we've spent some time in several sermons this year. And it's such a powerful text that I thought in the context of our communication, of having effective, positive communication, of using our words wisely and in a positive way, these verses might be a good conversation for you individually as you go through the questions, or certainly in a group session. I want to go to the book of Colossians, and I want to take some time to read from chapter 3. Again, we've been there in a couple of our message series this year in one context or another. So this may be something you're like, oh, I've heard this before, but I want you to put this in place in the context of what we've been talking about in breaking the curse of words. And I want you to think about how these words, how this instruction from Paul to the church really does have an impact on our words, our speech, and really does show our hearts, whether it's a new heart or needs to be a new heart. This is what Paul says, Colossians 3, beginning verse 12. Therefore, as God's chosen ones, holy and dearly loved, here's what he says, put on compassion and kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, bearing with one another and forgiving one another if anyone has a grievance against another. Just as the Lord has forgiven you, so you are also to forgive. Above all, put on love, which is the perfect bond of unity. I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to unpack this for you because I'll give you some questions to help lead you in some discussion through these verses. But I do want to say that there are a couple of things that are extremely important in this text. First of all is the word therefore. We say this often, and I want to say it again to you as you watch this video. Therefore implies that something has happened. And what Paul says is, therefore, as God's chosen ones, holy and dearly loved, therefore, because you have taken a step of faith, put your faith in Jesus Christ, invited Him into your heart that He might give you a new life, a new heart. Because of that, you are His chosen ones, you're holy, you're separated, which is what holy means, and you're dearly loved. If that is who you are, if that's your descriptor today, that you are a child of God, you've been, can we say it another way, born again. You are one other way, a follower of Jesus, and you're living your life to follow Him. If that's the case, he says, put on. Allow this to be the things that begin to identify you, not just outwardly, but even inwardly, as our heart begins to speak words in a communicative way that is positive, uplifting, and brings people closer to Jesus. What do we put on? He says, put on compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Those are things that begin to characterize us as having a different kind of heart than the world's view of people. The negativity, the anger, the bitterness, the hatred, the bigotry that so oftentimes identifies human beings. He says, because we have come to faith in Jesus, because we're a follower of Jesus, that we need to put on some things that show that we are different from the inside out. Humility, kindness, patience, compassion, gentleness, all those things, those begin to not only show who we are, but they show up in our speech, how we talk to one another. We speak with compassion. We speak with kindness. That would go a long way, wouldn't it? We speak with an absence of pride. We speak from a place of humility. We're gentle with people. And even in the most frustrating times, and we're all there, we don't allow our communication to become impatient, but rather patient. And then he says this, that because we begin to do that, our communication begins to show that we're willing to bear with one another. We're willing to walk alongside. We're willing to go through life journeys, the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads. We're willing to do that because we're willing to bear with one another, especially if someone has had a grievance against us. Rather than take a posture of revenge or decide that we're going to have a root of bitterness kind of put down into our life because we don't like the things they've done or how they treated us or really mistreated us, because they weighed us down or cursed us with some words. Rather than allow that to become a wedge or a barrier, we bear with them and we ask for forgiveness, or we offer forgiveness in those situations, forgiving one another when those grievances come. And we do that because we know we've seen God do that for us, right? He's done that for us. And above all, we put on love. As we unpack those verses tonight, as you spend some time in your group or individually going through those verses, read very slowly, very carefully those verses. Read each word. Think about how that word has been characterized in someone's life and their influence over you, or how you've been able to characterize that. An act of kindness, a moment of gentleness when someone was frustrated or out of sorts, whatever it may be. A moment where you had to make the choice. Can I forgive? Will I forgive? Based on what someone said. Communication's tough. It's tough because we use words, and words that are not applied properly or spoken in angry or mean ways always hurt. They do. But if we're going to break the curse of words, if we're going to find a path through, if we're going to change our communication, it starts with that changed heart, and it starts by doing the very things that Paul suggests here in Colossians chapter 3. Find those questions, spend the time together, explore, talk, pray, and find freedom in the truth that God gives to us. So excited to have spent this month with you and more. Can't wait for our next series in the book of Judges that begins on Sunday. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.